How's it going, critter people? Hope you all are doing well. Today we are going over a video by Victoria Stillwell of It's Me or the Dog. Victoria shatters huge shock collar that was strapped to tiny dog. So I think this little dog had a bark collar on, or has a bark collar that they put on, and she takes it off and she smashes it with a hammer, which I am all for. I wish I could do that to every bark collar, every shock collar, every vibrate collar, every pager, every prong collar, star mark collar, slip lead, anything else. I wish I could destroy them and burn them and just put them into a giant pit in the earth. But even then, that would be bad for the earth. So they're bad. They're not good for anything, really. They really are. None of those tools are not good for anything. Some people may have a differing opinion, and if so, then they're welcome to their opinion. I just think that they don't have any place on this planet, because all they do is how they work is by causing pain and discomfort to whatever creature they are being placed on, and in this case, it is most likely a dog. So somebody asked me to look over this video and one other video, so we're just going to be looking over the part in this video where she does break the shock collar, or bark collar, whatever the tool is. I don't care about being nice about them. Look at this cute little dog. But we are going to be going over this one and one other video where this little dog's trust may not be salvageable because of the way that this gentleman in the family interacts with the dog, particularly the husband in this family. So we're using this footage. It's probably going to get blocked or at least copywritten, all that good stuff. But anyway, using this footage under the Fair Use Act for educational and criticism purposes, trying to transform the original video, giving my 2 cents to giving my personal opinion, my professional opinion from my own experience, and using common sense when I'm talking about what I see in the video and how I might do things differently. So I feel like we're going to have a lot of agreeing in this video because it is Victoria Stillwell, and I do agree with her methods, most of her methods, her especially her current methods. She has gone over her older videos where she would do things differently, which I appreciate the accountability that she's holding for herself and the clarity that she's giving to us that she now has, as to what she used to do 10 years ago, 12 years ago to now, to current day. So let's just get started. Look at this cute little doggy here. I'm not a big fan of coloring dogs. This dog has yellow on him, on his tail, and I think on his ears. I'm just not a fan of coloring dogs. I mean, if it doesn't hurt the dog, then go for it. But for me, I just feel like there's other priorities that I have in mind versus coloring the dog. And you might make, oh, the dog's so cute. The dog's yellow, the dog's pink, the dog's blue, the dog's rainbow color, whatever. But you think that's cute, but yet you let them get away with other behaviors that are not so cute. So let's just get into it.
You shut the dog up?
Nope.
He puts his collar on, he'll calm down.
Okay. Michael proceeded to put a very large shock collar on their dog. And of course, I was appalled.
This is the only thing that ever works.
Yeah, poor little dog. So the dog is already showing stress signals, stress signs. He has a very large, what looks like a bark collar on. Those are very powerful because it only goes up to, I think, 10. So there's a large jump between 1 through 10, 1 to 2 even. And this poor little dog has one of these objects on him, probably going from here to here because of how small he is. That this product is this torture device, really is what it is. Probably goes from here to here instead of here to here. But it doesn't matter where it touches it. It's just absolutely, hey, will you shut the dog up? But we're gonna color it yellow because it's cute. But we're gonna shut the dog up. Okay.
No doubt, it's a last resort. It's not something I think I would want to do, but...
Don't talk, because if you talk, I'm going to punch you. Feel free. People defend their use of electronic shock collars. It's always a threat. You better do it, and you better do it, because if you don't, you're going to get it. So communicate how you feel, because that's going to happen to you. Do you get it?
I see the point.
That's what the shock collar's doing.
When she was waving her finger in my face, it was a little upsetting. I didn't like it. I've tried everything. I've tried...
Have
spray,
you? Have you tried positive reinforcement? Have you tried enrichment, mental enrichment? Have you tried tiring the dog out? Have you tried to decipher or decide or realize why the dog is barking? have you instead of painting it cute colors and yellow and then you just throw a shock collar on the dog, why don't you realize or try to figure out through a trainer, someone who is educated in this, why don't you find out why the dog is barking? Is the dog stressed? Does the dog need to go outside to go potty? Is the dog bored? Is the dog, I mean, this dog is probably just like beyond lunacy by this point because of the way these people have been treating it.
The bottle, the scented collar, the noise-making collar.
I do think the way my dad disciplines Jake is harsh and like.
Good. Someone with a brain.
What do you think that's actually doing to him inside?
We're giving him more stress.
Yeah, so you realize that you're suppressing him and yet you do nothing about it.
His behavior for that moment, but you haven't actually got to the cause of the problem. Why he's barking, why he feels the need to be aggressive. When are people going to
See, I could never be this honest with people because I don't know. I have an aversion myself to being aversive towards people to their face. I mean, that doesn't mean that if they asked me my opinion, I would be totally honest. I would be as honest as the day is long, as the sky is blue. I would be totally honest if they ask my opinion and if they have me there for that. But if they didn't ask my opinion, I can't. It's not that I lie to people or I try to placate them, but I'm a people pleaser. That is just who I am. People may not believe it, but I'm very much a people pleaser. I try to avoid conflict. I'm not good with conflict. I know it sounds kind of ironic, and I'm not just a keyboard warrior here. I mean what I say and I say what I mean. But when it comes to, if it were in person, then I might explain things a little bit nicer than being as blunt as I am here. If people ask my opinion on these things, then I tell them, hey, they are just cruel, unnecessary, aversive, shocking machines. That's all they do. And I would explain how they work. And when somebody is on the same page as me, then we can go in, for hours. We can talk for hours about, the aversives and I can be more honest with them and this and that, but when it comes to somebody who I feel like doesn't know, or someone who wants to just explain it away, I have less patience for that. And so I kind of tend to just shut down and say, okay, whatever, if that's what you want to believe, then that's what you're going to believe. You're not going to, I have the feeling that they are not going to listen to me, no matter what I tell them, that they have just already made up their own mind. So I think that's kind of where my mind goes to. But and it doesn't mean that anybody's right or wrong. It doesn't mean Victoria is right or wrong for the way that she has spoken up to these people. I think it's great that she's able to be honest with them. She's giving them a point of view, of the dog's point of view, and I try to do that as well. But I've also worked with so many people that don't want to listen, that don't care, to hear my opinion, so I just don't give it.
get smart and start realizing that using these devices is just plain wrong? Tell me, what did you see in Jake's behavior when you put it on? Would you say it was an improvement?
Oh, it was absolutely
For
an
us.
improvement. Yeah,
For us, it was an improvement.
from what it was.
Yeah. In fact, something very sinister is taking place instead. When you put a shock collar on a dog and it experiences that shock.
And in this case, a very, very powerful shock because, again, those things only go up to like 10. So it's like on a regular shock collar that goes from 0 to 100, you're jumping up, you're skipping many, many levels in between that 1 to 10. That 10 could be that 100 or more on a mini educator or another, a Dogtra type shock collar. Those are our company names, mini educator, or I guess, I don't even know, like e-collar technologies is the name of a company and Dogtra is the name of a company of shock collars.
It have very negative impacts to the brain, but it also forms such a negative association that the dog shuts down and ceases to learn. So I'm taking your shock collar and I'm doing symbolically what I want to do
Get a bigger hammer
to
than that.
every single shock collar that is put on a dog.
Oh my God.
And I am going to.
I looked at Michael, I said, oh my God, that's like our salvation. We saw that go, we said, oh, now we got to stick to this. We have to, we have no choice.
Or they're just going to get another one. I mean, I see it as, they may see it as, oh no, we spent money on that and now you're destroying it. You're going to owe us money. That's how I see this family looking at that.
Is gone.
I'm gonna do it, because it feels good.
I can probably fix that. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me?
Take it away. Throw it in the
Can I
trash.
throw it in the trash?
Yeah, you
Garbage
can
is
throw
up
it in
there.
the garbage. Go on then.
I overheard my dad saying, "Oh my God, no! Why is she smashing it? I'm gonna go buy another one."
Mm-hmm. So there's that part of the video where she is smashing the shock collar. I think that's what I would love to do to any tool that I see on every dog. I would just love to go drop them in a vat of acid and just completely destroy it. Again, that would be bad for the environment, the everything that's coming off of the melting of the plastic and all that. But smashing with a hammer is something that I would love to do too as well. So kudos to Victoria for that. I think that is perfectly fine. I wish that I could do that to every product like that on store shelves. We're gonna move on to the second link. So here we are with the second link of the video. Training fails as dog's trust cannot be salvaged, according to Victoria. Again, we got the cute little yellow tail. I'm going to keep harping on that because people who color their dogs, it doesn't mean that everybody who colors their dog is a bad parent. But just look at how these people have a cute little purse dog. They want the cuteness, they want the littleness, and then they don't want to deal with the dog when the dog is barking, when the dog is piddling in the house, when the dog is being destructive. Depending on whatever size of dog you have, this little dog can also be very destructive. Then they just want to, end up wanting to lock it up in a crate all day, or you want to put a bark collar on it, or you want to put a shock collar on it just to make it shut up or to make it do whatever you want it to. Sorry, when you want them to, not it. I try not to call dogs it, because they are living creatures and they deserve a name fitting of that.
Who's this?
That's my brother.
Okay.
Okay, so someone who's taunting the dog.
Thought Jake's behavior was bad when I came in, but when Lisa's brother Peter came through the door, he went ballistic.
So he comes in,
Hi, Jakey.
he's taunting the
Don't you bite
dog.
you?
Well, sometimes when I get close.
Do you come here a lot? Do you come here often?
Yeah, sometimes.
You do?
I usually terrorize the dog.
So he knows what he's doing. And some of this may be set up as well, that they're like, I don't know what the camera crew told him to do, or if they're like, hey, just do whatever you normally do, or, he might be acting up for the camera, whatever it may be. Regardless, this dog definitely seems like they have a history with this guy of this dog does not like barking at the door. I mean, does not like knocking at the door, period. So they're going to be barking at the door. So what I would do is I would desensitize the dog to the sound of knocking, where I would just be standing there by the front door. I would have my little bag of treats. I would knock on the door one time. Knock. Wait. And then when the dog is quiet, if the dog doesn't start barking, then I'm going to reward them. Then I will knock again one more time and wait. And if the dog doesn't bark, they get another reward. If they bark, then I'm going to have them sit. I'm going to get their attention. I'm going to tell them quiet, give them a quiet cue. Or I might have them do something else. I might have them go to a place cue. Give them an alternate behavior that cannot be compatible with them barking at the door. So if I call them into a different room, or I have somebody else call them into a different room, the dog into a different room. Hi, baby girl. You want to go in the window? So if the dog goes into a different room, then that's an alternate behavior that cannot be compatible with them staying there barking at the door because they're in a different room. So we give them something else to do. We give them an alternate behavior. We teach them to go to a different room, and to do some sits, some downs, do some basic obedience, do some puppy push-ups, up, or up, down, or down, up, down, whatever you want it to be. And you're just giving them a job to do, something different to do versus barking at the door. So that's what I would do. And then I would instruct the visitor to not taunt the dog. Don't put your hand through the mail slot. Over time, I could teach the dog to ignore all that by knocking on the door after one knock. Then it's 2 knocks, and then over time it's 3 knocks and 4 knocks and multiple knocks, and I'm banging on the door. Then I can stick my hand through the mailbox, and I can desensitize the dog to all of that using positive reinforcement, teaching the dog to ignore all of that, and that no matter what's going on at the door, that the dog is comfortable because the dog has been desensitized to that. The dog has been taught over time that, hey, no matter what you're doing at the door, I get something so much better. I get a treat, I get petting, I get whatever it is that I, as a dog, as this individual dog, like. And I will practice that in a different room or in a room just around the corner or even right there by the door. So wherever the dog is most comfortable.
What do you do?
In the front minute, I open up the mail slot and I'll yell at the dog or tease it a little bit.
Yesterday he came in and he did his, oh, Jakey, Jakey. And the dog peed.
Oh.
He pees. Every time you come over, he pees.
And
Pooped on himself.
she laughs about that. This dog is actually quite terrified and traumatized by this guy. It appears to be, if the dog is urinating on himself and defecating on himself, this dog seems to be very, very stressed and in the wrong family. Honestly, the wrong home for this dog. This dog should not be, this family should not be allowed. I mean, as sad as it is for the kid, they should not be allowed to own an animal just because of the way that they act and treat animals. And from what I've seen, that they just, maybe Victoria Stillwell can help them. I don't know. From so far from what I've seen, and I've seen this episode when it aired, long ago, or however long it's been. I feel like this family honestly can't be helped, but maybe by the end of this episode, Victoria will be able to help them. I don't know.
You laugh and you have fun because it's fun because it's a little dog. Yeah. Would you come in if this was a Rottweiler?
I was just going to say, you would not
You
do
would.
that if that was a
It
Rottweiler.
would have your throat. I was appalled when Peter admitted to terrorizing Jake. I was about
So by
to
going
get him
over and
throat.
petting the dog like that, when you put your hand in their face and you try to let them sniff, putting your hand out for a dog to sniff can actually be more terrorizing to the dog. It can be more of a threat to a dog. Although you're saying, hey, come sniff me, the dog's like, I don't want your hand in my face, get out of here. Let the dog come up to you to sniff you, whatever part of you they want to sniff. They don't want to necessarily go and sniff for the hand going for their face. As you can see here, it's going, this hand is going for my eyes. It's very quick. If you try to go pet the dog and the dog kind of jerks away and then you jerk away, it's like if you try to go pet a cat and the cat swipes you and you're afraid to get swiped by the cat and the cat swipes you anyway. It's because you were acting like a weirdo. If I'm doing this towards you and I'm afraid to come pet you and then I put my hand here and then you swipe me, I'm like, stupid cat swiped me or the dog bit me. It's like, no, you were the one who was being stupid. Don't put your hand in an animal's face, even if you're trying to pet them. And then the fact the dog allows him to pet him is just, the dog is just shutting down.
I'm out the front door. I work hard at what I do and I can make huge progress. But the thing that really makes my job a lot harder are people like you coming in and teasing the dog. This is a dog that has bitten children, has bitten all the family, and has bitten you.
Yes.
Has it bitten you?
Yes.
How many times?
3 or 4 times.
Jolly good. Because I would have bitten you too. You tease me, you put your fingers through the letterbox. I don't think the family realized how hard I was going to be on Peter. And Peter certainly didn't, otherwise he would have never come round. Each time you tease this dog, you rile it up, you're just showing that every single time somebody comes in here, the person is just gonna cause me fear, make me more anxious, cause me stress. So it's a negative association with everybody who comes through that door.
I was shocked that the dog must be so scared to death that happens that I feel really guilty.
Do you realize how you're exacerbating this dog's behavior? Through the door, Jake went nuts.
How are you?
I hear insanity. Peter came through the door, he did the same thing.
Jakey!
In order to address the behavior, I need to take baby steps.
Absolutely.
Since Lisa has the best relationship with Jake, I want to start working with her first before I go on to the rest of the family.
What a cute little
When
dog.
working with aggressive dogs, it's really important that they trust me. I wanted Jake not to freak out each time I left and came back into the house. So immediately I set to work by teaching them that if he was quiet, he would get a reward. So I'm just gonna put the food up to my eyes so that he gets used to looking at me.
So she's
Good
teaching him eye
boy.
contact, which is
I'm
very
gonna
good.
leave by the front door.
You can teach
I
this
want you-
by using a lure, by putting the cheese or treat up to your eyes, you know, up in between. I like to do it like this. I like to take a treat and put it between my fingers and put it up like this. You know, you can do this, whatever you want, or you can free shape it where you just look at the dog and wait for the dog to look at you and give you eye contact. If I'm the dog and I'm over here looking around and you say, and I look at you and I make eye contact, click and reward, or mark and reward. That's exactly the timing that I would use when getting a dog to look at me, yes, and reward, as if I'm making eye contact with you, as if I am the dog and you are the human.
To watch what I do. Nice. The refocusing technique is great because instead of the dog focusing on all of the emotion it feels,
So it
it's
looks like
focusing on
Victoria
actually trying to find
is teaching the dog that she can walk around the house without the dog getting amped up, because a lot of time, and I know this how this feels because I've done this a lot of times with dogs where, you know, the dog is barking at me, barking, and they're totally, you know, I'm talking to the owner to figure out what we need to work on. The dog is barking at me, and as soon as they're calm, they're totally fine. I can give them a treat, and then I take a step, and the barking starts up again. So Victoria seems like is giving the dog little rewards as she's walking
a
her way
piece of
around the
food,
house.
which gets its thinking brain into gear. If I was just walking out now, he'd be barking
Yes.
at me. Good boy. This is how you change your dog's brain, right? Without using shock collars. I'm using praise too. Good boy. I've never seen you since I've come in here praise this dog once. I'm gonna mark every single behavior that I see in this dog that I like. If I go and open the door, I think he could bark. Yeah. So I'm not gonna do it. You don't go out. You just wait.
There you go. Okay.
You wait for that calm behavior.
Very
The
nice.
only
And then
way
you
he's gonna get
reward.
this really nice, tasty stuff is he needs to come back to the stair and be quiet. I like the turn
God.
away.
Look at that
I
little
wait for
cutie
him
pie.
to
He is
turn
so
away from the
cute.
door and for me.
So he's been conditioned that the door means, you know, bark, 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 bark. This big emotions, big big emotions. I can't, you know, big it's a big reaction. So he's been conditioned to learn that when somebody is at the door, whenever I hear this knocking noise, it means he just automatically goes into PTSD, or he just goes into this big exaggerated emotional state of mind that he feels way up here. And so we need to teach him to lower it down to here. So that means every time somebody goes through the door, they need to practice this. Yes, if you've been practicing this for 2 or 3 years with your dog and your dog is barking, you can take at least a week or so, or a couple of days, whatever it takes, whatever time it takes. You can work that amount of time. You're going to have to, in order to change your dog's behavior. There is no quick route to it. Otherwise, in my opinion, that's just abusive. If you're going to just slap a prong collar on your dog, put a shock collar on your dog, and just make them and obey, I think that is just absolutely just poppycock and just nonsense.
Good. The more I tell him no, shut up, stop, the more he's going to bark at me. Want him to be
Good.
quiet. It's okay.
Excellent.
Quiet.
I assume they have a screen door there.
Nice. Quiet. Go find it. Good boy.
Oh, he wants her to come back.
I'm just going to come in.
Good. Good.
Nice.
Very good. So see, it just takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of work. I mean, like, people are so, I don't know if it's that they're lazy or that they're ignorant or that they might just be intimidated by the steps. Although it's just a few very easy, simple steps, I think a lot of people get into their own head. I don't think it's all just laziness. I think people get into their own head and thinking this is so complicated to do that it's much easier just to press a button to shock your dog. Even if they don't want to, they still do it, and they still need to be held accountable. Just like this family, they feel like it was a last resort, and they're trying to reason with themselves as to why they're being so cruel to their poor little dog. They've been torturing and tormenting and traumatizing this entire time.
And that's how you get coming into
You could see he'd walk over like, should I bark? And then he would turn away like, no, I'm not gonna bark. And I was shocked that he was learning.
I wanted to take the training a little bit further and to work with the person that Jake hates most, which is Peter.
Jakey.
He's put his fingers through the slot.
Why is Peter putting fingers through the
That's
seat?
what he does. So the dog's not
Okay,
gonna-
so he's not learning,
What language was I speaking to Peter when I asked him not to tease Jake anymore?
and that very well could have been maybe part of the camera crew could have told him. I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't quite get it, the severity of it. It's just a habit for him, like it is a habit for the dog. But I mean, if it were me, I would teach the dog. Obviously, you need to teach the dog without that person in the picture. If he's going to come over a lot, then I would just tape up the mail slot so he can't. I mean, that's just what I would do. I would put a cover or something over the mail slot or fill it up so that way he, the mail can't get in the mail slot anymore, but neither can his hand. So, I mean, it's harder to train a human than it is a dog. It is so much more difficult to train a human than it is to train an animal because humans can choose to be stubborn. Humans are the stubborn ones. Animals are not. I hate it when people call animals stubborn. Oh, he's just stubborn. No, you're just an idiot. Or you're the stubborn one. You're the dummy. You don't realize why your dog is acting the way they act, and so you want to label them as stubborn. It takes understanding of a subject and choosing not to do it or to do it your own way to be stubborn. Dogs, a lot of times, do not understand what is being asked of them, or they don't understand the reason why. And so they will choose not to do it because we need to make it, we need to give them a reason why. I like to give, having had a Shiba, and working with breeds like that, I like to teach them that the reason why is because you get good stuff, because they want to, because they associate it, whatever action they're doing. They come when called off of a dead rabbit because there's so much more, it's so much more rewarding to come back to me off of the dead rabbit because they get something so much better in their mind or something just as good. And because we have trust and we have a bond, and you can't just do that without a trust and bond. But if I just go and call every dog that I work with stubborn, then that's not me taking accountability for my own lack of knowledge.
Whatever it was, he didn't understand it.
Doing it again.
Lisa, relax.
Can you tell your brother to stop putting his fingers through the letterbox?
Peter!
Yes.
Stop putting your fingers through the box.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Why he was putting his fingers through the mailbox?
I think he doesn't realize how, I mean, this guy is a dummy as well. Her brother doesn't realize how much more difficult it's going to make for this dog for them to make progress. So he really is, I mean, he needs to, if anybody needs a shot collar, he needs a shot collar on him. And so does the husband, because, I mean, the wife could take one too, just because they laugh at the dog and they think it's funny and the dog is peeing itself and defecating on itself and they all just think it's so funny until someone comes and tells them the bright idea. Somebody has to tell them, hey, this is not a good idea. Oh my goodness. Sorry, that was Ellie. Someone has to come and tell them, knock a couple of bricks into their head and say, hey, this is not a good idea. Don't be teasing the dog. Don't be taunting the dog because guess what? This is the reason why your dog is acting the way it is.
Wriggling them at Jake and hearing Jake's frustration barking, and then he continued to do it, is beyond me.
Agreed. I mean, I'm right there with you.
Hi.
If it were me, I would have him leave and close the door, and then we would restart again. And he wouldn't come in. I would have him avoid the eye contact with the dog. I would have him come in, have him be tossing the treats. If the dog is barking, he's going to go back outside, wait for the dog to be calm. Then have him enter again. If the dog barks, he goes back outside, close the door, wait for the dog to be calm. When the dog is calm, the dog does get a reward, a piece of chicken. When he enters and the dog is calm, he gives the dog a piece of chicken. Don't looking at the dog, just tossing, looking around the dog, but not looking at them. Don't look into their eyes. Toss them a piece of chicken.
Here.
No, Lisa, you want to let the person coming in to know not to proceed up to the steps so quickly.
Yeah,
Pause, let Jake get calm, give him a treat, and then
Good.
you let the
Good on
person
him.
proceed.
Okay.
At the bottom.
Yeah, he stands at the
Okay,
bottom
go
and
to the bottom.
waits
Correct.
for Jake to stop barking.
Go to the bottom.
Okay, so
I
he's
totally
catching on
froze,
quicker than she
screwed
is.
up. The dog was getting too upset. He
And
wasn't.
you know, I mean, I'm hard on these people, but you know, you're going to make mistakes, and what I tell people is, you know, it's no big deal. I mean, as long as you're not hurting the dog, you're not using a shock collar. If you make a mistake with a shock collar, that's on you. But if you make a mistake and you work too quickly, okay, we'll just go back and we'll reset. You know, it's not the end of the world. Yes, the dog did get worked up. You know, I would have waited for the dog to be calm after the finger incident going through the mailbox before I would have let the dog, before I would have let the brother-in-law come in. So I would have waited for the dog to be calm, have him start to come in. If the dog barks, he goes back outside. That's just me. And then, you know, give the dog a piece of chicken. Or if you're going to have the person come in, have them stand there, wait for the dog to calm down, just like Victoria did. Give him a little piece of chicken, then start to approach the stairway. Take one step at a time, give him a little piece of chicken, wait for him to be calm, and then give him his piece of chicken.
Paying attention to the food because he's too terrified of Peter. I just totally forgot everything she said. And I was just like, what do I do?
Jakey, hello.
So I would tell Peter, don't say anything.
Don't talk to him at all.
When Peter came in and Lisa was selected to walk Peter in and walk him through it, that had failure written all over it from the get-go.
He really doesn't like it.
He's terrified. Every little movement, he's terrified. Absolutely terrified of you, Peter. I put a lot of time, effort, commitment to training, and I work really hard to make things work. But it tries my patience when people just don't get it. We have all of this crew in the house, okay? All of these big men walking around. And for days he hasn't reacted to them. He's totally comfortable.
That's a
with
good
them.
point.
Good boy.
That's a fair
And
point.
the fact that he has this history of you teasing him
okay.
and you scared him to the point where he actually had to urinate and defecate.
It's okay, good
I think
boy.
you might have just sealed the deal with him.
okay, good
I really do. That he's just too.
I feel like it's too difficult to communicate to the human and to really train the human. I mean, that is a job on its own, you know, all of itself. That to be able to really change a human's state of mind is far more difficult than it is to change a dog's state of mind, because we control everything our dog does. You know, our dog cannot, you know, when we have dogs like Shibas, like Samoyeds, like Huskies, you know, where they are more in Pyrenees, Great Pyrenees, you know, dogs that are more independent minded, and they can decide, you know what, I don't think this is for me. Screw you. You know, I'm going to piss off. I'm going to go over here and do my own thing. You know, that those dogs are still even easier to work with than a human is, because we can still control everything in that dog's life. We can put a leash on them. We can put a collar on them. We can force them. We can put shock collars on them. We can put prong collars on them. We can force them to do anything that we want them to do. It might not look pretty at first, but you know, after a while, we can still force them to do just about anything we want them to do. For humans, not so much.
He's just too frightened of you. I don't think we'll put him through it anymore. Thank you.
It's okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Peter has terrorized Jake enough that I don't think that relationship is salvageable. So when I saw Jake getting so upset, I just thought the best thing was for Peter to leave.
I
I
agree.
didn't know he was that afraid of Peter.
I agree.
You didn't?
Not that bad.
The dog urinated and defecated on your sofa. That's when you were laughing.
I know.
That's when you were laughing. This dog does not deserve to be treated in this way. And you know, it just makes me so angry.
Lisa will try very hard to do what's right, but because of pressure and trying too much to not fail, she sets herself up for failure, and then once that happens, it's like a stone tumbling downhill.
I know I have a lot to learn. I'm practicing,
Oh, they have two dogs.
but I think that ultimately Jake will benefit.
Okay, so that's that for that video. That's unfortunate that I just don't think it's gonna, work out. That they don't think it's gonna work out with with I think his name is Jake, or maybe the dog's name is Jake. I can't remember the brother-in-law, and the brother. So I think I would have. I mean, I wasn't there, so I wasn't able to see the dog. I mean, that she makes a great point that she has all this camera crew, people with big, heavy things and sound people and all that, in there, and the dog is just absolutely terrified of the brother. So I've been going at this long enough. Thanks for watching. Go say hi to your little critters. Say hi to for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. This video probably is going to be copywritten, but hopefully you'll be able to see it. Hopefully it won't be blocked. But thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.